All right, on this episode of Bare Knuckle Bowker, very excited to be talking to an individual who is going to be taking part in BKFC Michigan, the first foray for BKFC into the state, and in an apropos way, taking place on the 1st of November. We have Tommy Strydom knuckling up and towing the line against Nathan Rivera, and great having Nathan back on Bare Knuckle Bowker. How you doing, man? It seems like an exciting time to be Nathan Rivera.
Yeah, man, I'm happy to be here, man. Thanks for having me on. Definitely an exciting time to be Nathan Rivera. It's my first co-main event, um, and it'll be, our first, like you said, our first time in Michigan for BKFC. So I'm happy to be a part of history.
And I saw that post you had talking about from prospect to contender, first co-main event, November 1st. Like, how cool has this journey been? Like, can you characterize just, the spirit of that sort of caption and that sentiment? Because it really does illustrate the journey.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's been a whirlwind, dude. It's been so fun, going from I started out not on the prospect series. I started out a numbered card, and then I moved, went to the prospect series to stay busy, and then went back to a numbered card, then went to a fight night. So I've been kind of all over the place, but each time I've been building momentum. I've been able to show the fans a little bit more. I had a couple first round knockouts. I had a unanimous decision. Then I had a fourth round knockout. So I think I've been able to show the fans a little bit of, I guess, of new Nathan every time. So I think this time will be something new as well.
Yeah, and I remember you being present at BKFC Philly, and I was also there in the arena. And it seemed like the news that came out of that weekend, at least relative to what you're doing, was that you got that coveted multi-fight deal, which sometimes with bare knuckle in general, like it can be a sport where it's almost like they really seem like they want to like test the mettle of different fighters, like just in terms of like what the consistency of the run thereafter could look like. Because I feel like with bare knuckle, some people try it out and it's not necessarily their fit. So I mean, that really says something in a way, like getting that multi-fight deal set up there.
Yeah, man. Once I'm under I'm kind of in that camp of like the grass is greener where you water it. A lot of people try to bounce around, and it's not really my approach to professionalism as a whole. As a job, and I want to make this my full time job, and the company's investing in me, and I want to invest in the company and be a company man as much as I can. So I was really happy to lock in a couple fight deal with BKFC. I mean, you've seen it. You've been covering it for so long. From when Connor signed on, I was 2-0, and then now, I'm 4-0, about to be 5-0, and just from that short time period of me having two fights, I mean, this company has skyrocketed beyond what I thought it would be. So I can't even imagine what the next. It's only a 7-year company. I can't imagine what this next 7 years look like. I just want to be on board for it.
Yeah, no, well said. And I think like even me mentioning that this is their first show in Michigan earlier on kind of illustrates a certain, I guess, piece of that too, just that continual expansion effort, both domestically from how they grew in America to what they've, been able to do globally, like even with that BKFC Italy card coming up near the end of the month as of this recording. So yeah, just really kind of illustrates that expansion piece and like you said, the growth potential in the next X amount of years.
Yeah, man. I mean, that it seems like every single fight card they announce three more cards on the book. So for someone who wants to stay active like myself, for someone who's really at the beginning of their career, this I've had five professional fights. This is my fourth with the company. This will be my fifth for the company. I want to stay active, and I want to get going. I was talking to Christine Faria. She was at our gym last night, and she has an incredible record, 11-1. I mean, that's something that I would love to get to. And how they're putting these shows on. It's awesome for the fans. It's awesome for the fighters that want to stay active, and it's really cool to spread it out. I mean, they're going to Rome. They're going to, I know they've plans to go to Australia. They've been going to Canada. I mean, they're going to Dubai again at the end of the year. I mean, it's really cool how fast they're opening up these different states and countries.
And a cool piece that I find for you, and I guess just like talking about how many interviews we've done so far, because I remember at the tail end of last year after you notched your victory there and everything, definitely an impressive one. And in the aftermath, you were really highlighting some names you were keen to, throw down with and test your skills with. You mentioned, Plazaola and Slim Reaper, but one of the names you mentioned was Strydom. So I mean, that has to give you a certain surge of positivity, just kind of putting that certain call out there and it coming to fruition.
Yeah, man. I mean, I've had my eyes on a lot of these guys for a while. I've always been under the impression that I want to fight some of the best guys. After my Atlanta fight, like you said, I called out a couple undefeated fighters. Since then, Tommy has his record is 4-1. I think he was 3-0 at the time. He picked up a win in the UK, and then he lost for the belt um, against Kai Stewart. And he's one of those guys that he definitely believes in himself. And I think it's going to be a really fun fight because I think I saw recently, like, he's got a kid on the way. And when you have some stuff like that motivating you, it can really drive you. So I think I'm going to get the best Tommy Strydom that BKFC has seen.
I guess even looking at your situation through like a similar kind of context, just because from what I can tell since our last talk, it looks like you got married. It looks like you're in a new house now and stuff like that. Is there a similar, I guess, emotional makeup, like idea for what you want to do in the future that's attached to your situation, just going off of what you said about Stridum?
Yeah, man. I mean, I definitely, when fighting's fun. Fighting is always fun. Amateurs do it for free we do it for free for a long time, in hopes that we can make it, but it's never about the money. But now I'm in a position where I could be really financially set up. And of course, it's an extra motivation to have my wife. And, now I own a home. Um, I'm not paying rent, I'm paying into owning my own home and stuff like that. It's cool paying a mortgage. And it does give me a little bit of extra spark of motivation. Um, Not necessarily for me, but for like my future family. Like, what kind of investments can I make right now that I'll be able to maybe free up some time and have some financial freedom so I can spend time with my family in the future.
No, that's so important, man. I feel like with fighters that I've interviewed over the years, that's like such a pivotal moment. Just, I guess, that separation from fighting being like such an individual, almost like ego preoccupation kind of focus versus like using it as a way to like serve your future goals and to serve your family. So it seems like that transitional piece is really set in for you.
Yeah, and really I I've always said I mean, I fell in love with fighting. It was the most fun thing I've ever done. And I just realized very early on, how am I going to do this? Like, not the fighting necessarily, but the lifestyle, the going to the gym, the training, the bettering myself, getting better at my craft. Like, that's what you have to fall in love with. I mean, fighting is, let's say you fight 3 times a year for BKFC, you fight for a max of 30 minutes a year. Out of the span of 365 days, how many minutes are in that time? You're fighting for 30 minutes. That's not like the thing that you can really, really, really say you fall in love with. It's awesome. It's part of the process, but you fall in love with the training, the people that you train with, bettering yourself, like that lifestyle. Like, whatever I can do to make that my life and possibly make that my job is something that I'm willing to entertain.
Yeah, like maybe it's not like a direct like through line comparison necessarily, but I guess I just kind of thought of it through the lens of like if say like an artist is recording a record, like there's going to be that much, time spent in the I guess build up processes, the curation of it, being like really methodical about it and really loving that part of the process. Like obviously it culminates in the release of the record or in your context the fight, but yeah, you kind of have to really be enamored and immersed in that process, it would seem like.
Yeah, and one of the things that, like, um has really come to the front of my thought is, like, I'll finish a fight and I'll be walking out of the arena and I'm already thinking about, like, what's next. So uh when you know well, there's no really big celebration. There's no really massive, crazy, like, whoa, let's take a victory lap. Like it's you did what you thought you could do and what you knew you could do. So this is not a cause for celebration. This is like a anything less than that would be defeat. You know what I'm saying? So anything less than that would be a big problem. So from what I've been realizing that this is never going to end. There will always be another contender. There will always be someone else with a better record, a stronger guy, a faster guy, a younger guy. There will always be someone else. So I'm kind of just taking it in strides and realizing that the journey and the people that I'm meeting along the way, that's like the real joy of this. Like being able to turn that into a career, that would be the joy of this is the time that I've spent preparing for this and like the type of person that I become when I prepare for a fight, the type of person I become um, when I use this discipline that I have. That's like the real treat and the real goal for me.
And I love your focus on fighting and just your, ethos and mentality for life in general, man. So, yeah, great stuff. It's partly why I always like having you on the show, but I did partially want to backtrack to a comment made earlier in relation to Christine Faria popping by the gym. I feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't get your fight or your thoughts rather on her recent fight where she cemented herself as the queen of violence and beat featherweight champion Jessica Borga at BKFC's Newark show somewhat recently.
Man, she is that's a bad lady. She is one of the kindest you wouldn't really see it from watching her fights, but she's one of the kindest, sweetest ladies I've ever met. She's very cool, she's very down to earth, and just super kind, willing to talk to anybody, taking pictures with everybody at the gym. We share a similar sponsor, which is Barber, which I'm wearing their t-shirt right now, Barber Orthopedics. She comes to Atlanta after her fights, before fights to kind of get tuned up and if she needs x-rays or get stitches out or whatever. This time she was taking some stitches out of her out of her right hand. And and yeah, so she always comes over to the gym over at American Top Team Lima, and she gives me like a lot of advice. She really passes on some wisdom to me, which I'm super grateful for. I'm 4-0. She's 11-1. She's more than doubled the amount of fights that I've had. So hearing from her, learning from her about not just fighting but just the game in general is something that I'm super super grateful for.
And I feel like it really behooves your path to get those insights from a BKFC champion as you kind of endeavor to become a BKFC champion yourself. And we were talking about it before. You're fighting a former title challenger here. You yourself are in the top five. You cracked into that hierarchy, into the number 4 spot off of the last fight there. But I guess just getting into the machinations of the matchup, like what are your thoughts on Strydom's skill set and general resume heading into this fight in November?
Yeah, I think he's had a lot of experience too outside of BKFC. Not like nearly as much as my last opponent. My last opponent was one of the harder fights I've had. He was 0-2 in BKFC, and the amount of fights that he had leading into that, it was like more than quadruple. You know what I mean? I mean, I think he was 10-9 in MMA, all knockouts or something crazy like that. So he definitely came with a lot of experience. And Tommy's similar. He's had a lot of experience outside of BKFC. Um, I think I think he's really hungry. I think Tommy's really wanting to get after it. You know, you go on a tear like that 4-0, and then you get a loss, and there's something I mean, it's got to do something to you, And I've had a similar experience when in the amateurs. You go on these long, just straight kill sprees, and then you take a loss, and then what that does to you, it really makes you dial it in for some people. At least it did for me. So I think that Tommy coming forward to this fight, I think he's got a lot to fight for. I think he is hungrier than he's ever been after almost having gold. And it's funny because I called out a couple guys, and he was the only person that DM'd me and was like, "Let's do it." Like super respectful, nice guy, but he was the only person that DM'd me and was like, "Say when and where, bro. I appreciate." And then this time, even before when we got booked up, I messaged him and I told him that I was grateful that he took the fight, and I'm praying for a safe camp, a safe cut. And he was like, "Yeah, same to you, man. Like I'm glad that I'm fighting somebody in the top 5." Because he wants to get back there. So I think that this fight, this is going to be the best Tommy that we've ever seen, and that's I wouldn't want it any other way.
Yeah, and I remember there was like an article that was on the BKFC site where a coworker was jokingly telling you like, "Oh, don't knock this guy out in 20 seconds" and stuff like that. And I mean, Strydom definitely fits the description of someone who you would think would be durable and have that kind of acumen to like really show where you're at and like really elevate you in a certain sense, like really showcase that great counter striking and defensive savvy and general fight IQ that you've historically brought to the table.
Yeah, yeah, man. He's one of those guys that he I haven't seen him tested a whole lot. I watch film a lot. I mean, I break down film, and it's not just me. I watch my own portion. My coaches watch it. We watch it together. We break it down. We compare notes. So this is something that it's a whole team effort. And the one thing that we haven't seen much of is we haven't seen him tested other than that one fight with Kai. And he's pretty unorthodox, and he's a little of a strange fighter. So um, it's exciting, a little bit of the unknown. I'm a little bit more, I don't know, I guess you would say like a traditional, you know what I'm saying? Um, Fighter compared to his last fight. So it's going to be interesting to see how our styles collide.
It's a super exciting fight, and I think it could very much inform the hierarchy of the division. I mean, there's so many great contenders in the weight category. Like I mentioned Plazaola earlier and stuff like that. Like I would think that I guess that kind of piece would also serve your own progression because you're seeing the pedigree of these guys, and obviously you're among that crop of talent. You're one of the ranked contenders and stuff like that. But just in terms of like that mutual beneficial kind of piece, like creating that certain hunger to almost like, I guess, usurp the other fighters in the division and stuff like that. It just seems like a very compelling weight division. Like I feel like it's one of the deeper categories for sure. I mean, even beyond Plazaola, guys like Nico Gaffey and Brian Duran. So yeah, great weight category for sure. I imagine that's really motivating for you in a certain sense. I mean, not that you need any more motivation as we've kind of talked about, but it must be a cool fold to be a part of, I guess.
Oh, it's definitely to be in like the most talent rich division as a whole. I think 45 is, and there's guys that are not even in the top five that are absolute units. I mean, some of the guys that come to mind are who James Brown is fighting right now. He's a 6-0 guy out of I think he's out of the UK also. I'm not sure. Um, he might. Yeah, I don't know where he trains actually, but I forget his name. But he's really good. I've done a lot of a film study on him. He's 6-0. Another guy is that was in the top five. It's Brandon Allen.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? He's another guy that's flying under the radar. It's not even in the top five. Like this is a talent rich division. Um, like you mentioned, Nico Gaffey. He's got a lot of fights. I think 40 plus fights. Um, and that's a problem. He's going to be a problem in that division. So I'm super excited to see what the future holds after him. After I'm done with Tommy, I think, um, maybe I go to the UK and fight some guys. Like I'd love to fight Gary Fox. I think that'd be an awesome fight. He's a world challenge. He's a title holder in and of himself. I'd love to fight Plazaola. Of course, if I could shoot to the belt, that'd be awesome. But like we've spoken before, man. There's a there's a whole list of guys, and I'm not rushing to get to the top. Like I know where I'm going. So I'm happy to. The last thing I want is to be a champion that no one feels deserves that. I would love to run through these guys the way that I know I can, and then go fight for the belt.
Well, it sounds like an incredible plan, and you're making big strides to do that for sure, as evidenced by the run you're on and who you're readying to face here. But yeah, I mean, I feel like I guess that could serve as a parting thought in and of itself if you were so inclined. But I also figured I'd give you the floor if you had anything you wanted to add as we, kind of are wrapping things up, Nathan. I appreciate the time today.
Yeah, man, I'm super excited. If you guys are in the Michigan area, come on out to Mount Pleasant. I think it's called Soaring Eagle. Um, but I mean, even if you're not, I mean, I know it's kind of in the middle of nowhere. So, BKFC app, on Triller, all of these places, Fubo, you can watch the fight. It'd be really difficult for me to do this job and to go into this fight without the help of all my friends and family, my sponsors, my wife. all my teammates at American Top Team, teammates, my coach Brantley, um, Barber Orthopedics that always sponsors me, Tribe Mechanical, like all of these guys, they care about me outside of the ring, and to have that support when I'm going into these fights, it feels like I have a whole army of people behind me. It's a crazy feeling, when so many people believe in you. It's a blessing. I started out my amateur career when I was 0 and 2, and I had nobody believing in me. You know what I mean? And you have to prove it not only to yourself, but you have to prove it to everyone else that you belong. So now to have all these people behind me, it feels like when you get in there, it feels like you're unstoppable. So I don't know if I'd be in the same position without all these people backing me. And people like you giving me an outlet to go talk to people. And it's just a blessing, man. So I really appreciate it.
No, for sure. The gratitude definitely radiates in a big way. And I think that's so important. And yeah, it's always cool getting to talk to you ahead of these fights, man. This Tommy Strydom one seems like a big one in the journey. And yeah, like you said, plenty of ways to check out this BKFC Michigan card on November 1st. But again, to reiterate, thank you for coming on Bare Knuckle Bowker. Nathan, always good chopping it up. Looking forward to checking out the fight when it goes down. But until then, you have a good rest of your day, man. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Dylan.